I just trickled my way back into it, like picking up instruments, selling them, going, oh, it'd be like sick to play, or like, and then my interest sort of just come back for it, and it just got bigger and bigger, and now I'm just like all hands in the pie sort of thing. I don't even know if that's a saying. But
it is now.
All hands in the pie.
All hands in the pie. That's going to be the title for this episode.
Sort of do like a bit of a, just, bring younger kids in, let them have a bit of fun, and you record their demos. If they want to release something, then I'll do my hardest to make it radio worthy. But like in your own head, sort of putting yourself in that position of feeling like you're already there. I don't know. It sort of doesn't make sense, but
well, it's the same concept in a way of dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
Exactly
so
right.
It's
that,
exactly
but what I'm trying to say.
That mental side of things where you're picturing yourself in that role, and I guess changing your outcomes in a sense, or just working towards it.
Cam's wearing a suit as he says that, just for those listening.
I've got a dress for the job I want.
Absolutely stunning outfit.
That's
sounding a bit better.
I think so, yes. And just to confirm, your name's Kalani? Yeah. And last name Artis?
Yeah.
Okay. So
It's my real name, believe it or not.
Yeah. Well, I've known of Kalani's, but I wasn't sure if it was part of the act name.
If there was a T on the end of it, I'd have to change. I'd have to swap it up.
It'd almost be like Usain Bolt. Like it's almost too perfect for your occupation.
All right. Well, that all looks a whole lot better.
Sounding a bit better too.
Sounding a bit better. Chapter 17 of our technical difficulties.
It's always the way.
So, Kalani Artis, you're with us right now here in Homebrewed, and we were chatting kind of before we kicked off recording, and I was like, well, there's not a great deal about you out there.
Yeah.
But we've known about you for a little while now, and I've really liked what you've put out so far.
I appreciate that.
And so it's cool to get you in the studio. We haven't really prepared much because, as I said, there's not a great deal about you out there. So we just want to use this as an opportunity basically to get to know you as an artist. And obviously you've got history on the Central Coast making music. You mentioned that you'd kind of quit work to focus on it full time, and you're dabbling a little bit back in a day job to keep it going.
Yeah.
But give us a bit of a background on yourself to kick it off.
Yeah, so when I was younger, like I was really heavily into it, like sort of left school pretty early, I reckon like around year 8 or so, just because school wasn't for me. It's not for everyone. But I went through a bit of a rough trot when I was younger, and sort of just locked myself in the house and got stuck in, just played the guitar every day as much as I could until, eventually I broke out of my little bubble and just started playing gigs and stuff. And I had a bit of a journey of like maybe 3 or 4 years there when I was younger of just traveling and playing like with and writing with different people, and a lot of people from the Central Coast, a lot of people that you've had on the podcast actually, and then sort of just slowed up when I got to like around 18-ish, and then a couple of years there, obviously just entering adulthood, sort of mucked about, like, partied a little bit and did that sort of stuff. And then, it was only recently that a guy that I used to work with when I was younger reached out to me on Instagram and was like, hey, like your music's sounding really good. Do you want to tee back up sort of thing? Because back then I was pretty young. It was hard to sort of do anything with a 15-year-old playing the guitar. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, he reached out and was like, hey, we should start working together again. And probably only in the last few weeks, actually, I've just dropped everything and gone, if I want to do this, I've got to devote all my time to it. Like, I know what I'm capable of. I've got to put my foot down. So, I've just been working. Don Brooks, his name is, he works for Musicians Making a Difference.
Fantastic organisation, Musicians Making a Difference.
Amazing, mate. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, they've, they did heaps for me, obviously, when I was younger. Now he's just he's very invested. Once you get that friendship with him, he's a very good person to have on your side. He's got his foot sort of in everything. He's a legend, absolute legend. Love what they do there. I'm all about it, and that's sort of we're building a bit of a brand off that now, like in regards to me developing as an artist and that sort of thing. But yeah, absolutely amazing people.
So it'd be fair to say musicians making a difference made a difference for you, particularly
100%.
during your early teens,
Yeah.
that period that you're talking about where you were playing music.
Yeah, massively. And I think, everyone that's has attended any of those courses as kids or whatever can say the same thing, I reckon. Yeah, no, I couldn't. I feel like I owe Mad and Dom something for like as long as my career goes on for, just because they've always been. They really make an effort to sort of make you feel like they're your second family, or like, because obviously that's a big part of their thing is helping youth through music and that sort of thing. And so, but they've nailed it. They really have nailed it, and they're only getting bigger and better. They're just, he's smashing it.
So take us back to when you were 13, 14-ish, year 8, you said, when you first picked up the guitar. Was there anything, like, you don't have to go into detail of how that sort of came about, but in terms of picking up the guitar and then finding your own inner peace in that, what was sort of the motivating factor behind that? Did you play guitar casually when you were younger? Did you know other people who play guitar, or was it just you found a guitar, you thought this might be a cool outlet?
Well, I grew up so my uncle was a musician. He was in a band for a long time, and then my great-grandfather was a really good pianist, and then so there's little bits in the family, and I grew up listening to Jack Johnson's every album on repeat. Nan and Mum would just blast it through the house, so that was drilled into my head. And I just remember actually there was a specific time that I was sitting, I was just sitting with my headphones listening to Taylor by Jack Johnson, absolute banger, and I just went, I've got to do this.
I got to learn this on guitar.
Yeah, that's just stuck in my head, and then, just manifestation, I guess.
And that's the song, I remember learning that for the first time on guitar too. It's a really cool feeling when you get it nicely riff, and you just get into the rhythm of it. It's a good track to learn.
Would he have to be one of the most underrated, influential artists ever? Everyone knows Jack Johnson, everyone knows his music, but I feel like his influence, everyone... Not many, particularly our age group, has this real defining period of him, and he's been so influential, but he's always been quite a low-profile guy.
Yeah,
very cool artist.
Yeah, I feel like not many people, if you say, "Hey, here's my song, here's my phone, queue up a song on Spotify," no one's going to Jack Johnson.
Yeah,
but he really is, as you mentioned, so influential.
Yeah.
I actually heard someone mention that the other day, that he's massively underrated. And it's true, 100%.
Yeah, I can think quite an impact. That just kind of plays out quietly. Yeah. And so, because it's funny, because you mentioned Jack Johnson, with your style, from what we've seen of you so far, Body Armor was your last release.
Started with a story, now I'm getting older. Less creative pictures from that folder. Started with a story, now I'm getting older. Less creative pictures from that folder. I'll never be rich, when will you realize? I'll never be rich.
And that's a good touch point for part of your style. And then there was other parts of it where I was picking up little elements of maybe earlier Sticky Fingers style in parts. And that combination is kind of part of how I describe your sound. Fantastic voice and
thanks, mate.
I think you described your Body Armor when you messaged us about it as playful. And I think that's that playful, happy energy to it.
Yeah, I think I always sort of growing up got a lot of the early Sticky Fingers, you sound so much like the early Sticky Fingers songs, or I didn't really ever get Jack Johnson, funny enough, but maybe Ziggy Alberts and stuff when he was around. But the songs, I think getting back into it, I was very studio driven. A lot of it was production based. That's sort of how I got my interest back for the whole music thing. So I think White Wine and Body Armor are two very good examples of me just throwing something out there, going, I'll just see if I get a bite, see what happens. I think White Wine I wrote in maybe 15 minutes or something, banged it together and just went, stuff it, I'm putting it on Spotify. And then Body Armor was like, I overthought the hell out of that. I was like, yeah, I was sitting on it for months. But, yeah, they're like, they're demos. They were demos. They were going to stay demos. And I was like, well, you know, if I want to do this, I've got to stop caring too much. So just throw them out there and see what happens. Like, I think they have a very, like, aesthetic sort of raw production amateur, because obviously I'm not like I don't record artist, I'm not like a producer or anything, but I've got a studio at home and I bang stuff together here and there, but I think it's got that sound of like real amateur sort of raw, but I like that. Like I like to hear, like what you were talking about before when the mics were off, about that older sort of sound and that like telephony sort of vocal sound. Like I like yeah, that sort of, those sounds influence me a lot. So I feel like that might be a good way of explaining sort of those songs.
I think there's comfort in that sound as well. Like it's something, it's the lack of I don't know. It's that comfortable, relaxed. It's got a feel to it that is very comforting. You said you overthought Body Armor release, and you said that they're intended to remain demos. What did you have to do internally to flick the switch where you go, well, I'm just going to release these now, like stuff it? Because we hear it from artists a lot that that was never going to be released, going to be a demo. And obviously as an artist, you're your own worst critic. But for you, it was a sliding doors moment where you're like, well, this is just the first step. Yeah,
well, I guess I sort of just, like for me, and going back to when I was, what we were talking about when I was younger, like overthinking was just like it was a real sort of issue for me at the time, and that's what I was struggling with. So I think, I don't know, it was more of a internal thing for me, like close to home sort of thing, overcoming more of like a personal issue rather than it just being the songs. I was like, well, if I'm going to put my foot down and I'm going to do this full time, like I'm going to have to learn to deal with the weight on my shoulders and that sort of thing. So I was like, there it is, put it out there and just sort of sucked it up.
So what was it? You said you went away from music when you hit 18. Then you've come back into it, obviously, now. What was, you said the production side sort of got your interest again. You mentioned a little nudge from Dom from Mad as well. What was sort of the deciding factor or motivating factor to get you back into making music again?
I don't know. I think my mates were probably just getting up to the like stuff that I wasn't into, and I started to sort of just fizzled back into my life. Like the guitars were always there. I think I ended up selling like a bunch of old stuff that I didn't use, and then I just trickled my way back into it, like picking up instruments, selling them, going, oh, it'd be like sick to play, or like, and then my interest sort of just come back for it, and it just got bigger and bigger, and now I'm just like all hands in the pie sort of thing. I don't even know if that's a saying, but
it is now.
All hands in the pie.
All hands in the pie. That's going to be the title for this episode.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I wanted to ask about your home setup as well, because I've seen little bits of it on your Instagram. So you clearly got a bit of a setup there. That was obviously, as Cam mentioned, kind of part of what got you back into it. Is producing outside of your own music something that you're looking to do as well?
Oh, for sure. Like that's something that I recently put on my to-do list. Like I've got a and we'll go into it soon, but I've got sort of a lot of people that I'm working with at the moment, so I've got a little bit of weight off my shoulders, and I thought maybe I can, like, loving producing as much as I do, not being as professional as I am, but loving it, thought maybe I can just open the studio for people, like younger artists and stuff, to come in and sort of do like a bit of a, sort of like what Dom's doing in a way, but obviously not the same, but just, you know, bring younger kids in, let them have a bit of fun, and you record their demos. If they want to release something, then I'll do my hardest to make it radio worthy. But yeah, no, definitely, for sure. Like we built that probably 2 months ago or something, and the idea was to just get amazing at production and like have a studio and write with my mates and that sort of thing, which we still do. But now that it's sort of, I'm working with Dom and his crew, and some other really cool people. It's sort of fizzled out a bit, so it's not taking up a lot of my time at the moment. But I don't think it's going to waste, but I think I could do more to like have it not go to waste, if that makes sense. But yeah, it's definitely something I've thought about for sure.
So you're seeing it as an opportunity to kind of provide a space that you were provided when you were younger
100%.
for kids, and then you can help kind of
Yeah.
guide them through that journey.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. And it's the power of music, I suppose.
Exactly.
That's inspiring that. Is that also part of what made you want to kind of quit the work thing? Because that's a bold move.
Yeah.
Like that's a big step, you know, just going stuff this, I'm going to put everything into it. You know,
Yeah.
you can have your job.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely it was, because that was the whole idea. I was like, I said to my boss, I think we come back after holidays or something, and I was like, look, pitched him this idea, and he was like, yeah, awesome. And he was nice enough to lend me some money and help me out with building the studio and stuff, and so massive appreciation to him, Mick, if you're listening, thanks, brother. But yeah, no, that was a big thing, like, yeah, because the whole goal was to become like a good producer, but it obviously went a different way, but that's cool. But yeah, it's got a big part in why I left work, definitely. We're like, well, look at this joint, like it's so nice in there, we're like, I'm going to spend all my time in here. But yeah, for sure.
And we know, I mean, like it's big hours producing.
Yeah.
Generally speaking to Jack here at Sonora Studios.
Yeah.
It's he's here at all hours, all the time. So
It's nuts.
it's a full art. And
No one will ever understand it. Like,
Yeah.
it goes so in depth, it's not even funny.
But at
Like,
the
I
same
don't even
time, a bit easier in one sense than being on the tools for 8 to 10 hours a day and
Yeah.
all sorts of weather conditions as well. And obviously this is something you have a passion for, and you're obviously feeling a lot more motivated to create something in this sense.
Yeah.
So that also makes it a bit easier than being on the tools, which you were
Yeah.
in between, I guess, your music stints from
Yeah.
your early teens to now.
Like, yeah, not the slightest part of me misses being on a job site. Like today, I was saying to the boys, I was like, it's so funny how much I don't miss work at all. I'm like, that's weird. Like, is it?
they don't
think so.
understand.
No, I got no idea. But yeah.
And if anything
times.
now, because you said you're now all in on this venture, it's, I guess, a bit of extra. Do you feel a bit of extra pressure for it to become something, or are you just happy in the way that things are sort of shaping and forming? And
See, like, I was like, I put so much pressure on myself when I started. I was like, I was still doing the same hours as like if I was on the job site, but it was all just me independently trying to source any avenue I could to, make a dent in the scene. But yeah, no, I'm lucky now. I've sort of had a little bit of weight lifted off my shoulders, and I'm around good people that are giving me that reassurance of like, just keep writing music. That's like my job right now, is to just keep writing music. So, and I'm happy with that.
do you feel like it's something you were, I don't use like born to do, because that it's a weird thing to say. At least I would,
Yeah.
we were born to podcast. It's like, well, that's a very strange thing to say. But like, in terms of, you've obviously had a passion for music at a young age. Your
Yeah.
music speaks for itself now. You have, your voice and the way that you're producing your music is really, really good. Do you feel like this is sort of, maybe I should say, it's more of a path that you should be following? Do you feel like it's a
Calling?
yeah.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say that, because me and the fam were talking about it the other day. It's like I've found my people again. It's like I've found where I'm meant to be again. Like, and it is, I get what you're saying, it is a bit of a touchy thing to sort of be like, oh, I was born to be a musician.
It
or
just
like,
feels
because
a
it
bit-
does take practice, like 100% does. No one's born with like an amazing voice. But yeah, I definitely think that like it's always been in me somewhere. Like, I don't know what it is specifically, but I've always just loved like the whole just being around media and being around like people that are creating stuff, and like, I don't know.
It helps
Love
you
it.
feel creative around other people
Oh.
being creative. It helps motivate you and inspire you to try new
Yeah.
things as well.
It's one of the biggest things, I think. And like, yeah, like writing music with other people and stuff is like, so much different to writing music by yourself, because the chance of writer's block is like halved for one, and then it's just an experience in itself. Like, it's such a special thing when two of you are sitting there and you're going, and then you just get goosebumps, look at each other and go, holy crap, like that was sick. But yeah, being around the right people is huge as well.
And who are those people, if you can say, who you've been working with, that you're kind of writing, producing with at the moment?
So, well, it's early days. It's really early days, but Musicians Making a Difference, they hold a Mad For You Day every year, and like a bunch of big artists get around it. I think it was like #1 trending hashtag last year or something on Twitter, and so they do really well with it. But this year they've teamed up with Universal, and they've decided to, instead of just doing the campaign by itself, like record a song and put an artist's face on the banners and that sort of thing. So it'll be more of like an artist development with the label, rather than just solely focusing on the what's the word I'm looking for? Like the day itself, if that makes sense. But absolutely amazing opportunity. Like, I'm still trying to get my head around it. Like, we went up to Universal Studios the other day, and just being there was like, it was breathtaking to me, because it's obviously, as a musician, something that everyone dreams of, is like meeting A&R and doing business with them people and stuff. So like, even though it's really early days, and I don't want to like say this is gonna happen, even though wishful thinking, but yeah, to me, I was like, and I still am, like, getting my head around it. It's nuts to be working with people from Universal just on anything.
Well, it feels like the pinnacle.
Oh,
in a sense, right? As a musician,
absolutely.
you're seeing you're at Universal and you're meeting all of these people. You're going, well, this is like, you know, what the top of the top
Exactly.
get to do. So to be able to experience something like that in itself would also be really motivating and, I guess, reassuring that you're on the right path.
Yeah, and I think it might be a bit off the ball, but yeah, it is. It's like the pinnacle, and I think manifestation. Like, this is a bit of a off the track.
we do a lot of that.
But manifestation, I think, plays a huge part in anyone's, like, to me, that's just when I got there, the reason I'm saying that is because I was like, manifestation did this, because that's all I've been doing for the last however long since I got back into it. Just thinking, just knowing what you want, not necessarily even. And going back to what you were saying before, feeling like that pressure, not doing enough, I think if you got the manifestation there and you know what you want to do and you're 24/7 thinking about it, I don't think it necessarily matters too much whether or not you're putting the steps in place to grow yourself. But I think just thinking it is putting those steps in place. Like, it's like the energies work in the universe, and it all just. And so, like, when I got there, I was like, shit, have I manifested too hard here? But that's how it felt to me. It's early days and stuff, but it's just amazing guys to work with, and some of the opportunities and stuff that they've been talking about and that they've thrown my way and stuff has been, mind-blowing. So I'm just trying to play my cards right and write the best songs I possibly could.
And for those listening, Kalani, like, I would describe manifestation as, and you kind of described it there, but just to clarify, willing something into action via your own thoughts and focusing on an outcome that you want to achieve. It's not just dreaming of it, it's doing it in your head.
Yeah.
Is that how you would describe it? And is that what you've been doing with your own music?
Yeah, definitely. I think putting your mindset, like, already in that future position, like, just thinking that I'm already at the top, even, like, it's you wouldn't show other people that, like, if you're talking to them and stuff, but, like, in your own head, sort of putting yourself in that position of feeling like you're already there. I don't know, it sort of doesn't make sense, but
well, it's the same concept in a way of dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
Exactly,
so
right.
It's
That's
that,
exactly
but
what I'm trying to say.
That mental side of things where you're picturing yourself in that role and, I guess, changing your outcomes in a sense, or just, working towards it.
Cam's wearing a suit as he says that, just for those listening.
I've got a dress for the job I want.
Absolutely stunning outfit.
Got a wedding after this. I've got to run to, so.
There you go.
Are you quite a spiritual person in general?
I think so. Like growing up and stuff, yeah, I think it's definitely been a huge part of how we do things. Like not even how we do things, just sort of how we think and how we do life, I guess. Like we lost a couple of like really close family members to, might be going a bit deep here, but to suicide and stuff when we were younger, and they sort of held like a very spiritual sort of spot in our hearts ever since then. Like it sounds a bit cliche, but it's like them being musicians and stuff as well. So I think that probably molded a big spiritual side of why we are the way we are. But yeah, I like to think of myself as spiritual, I guess.
And does that help with your music or your songwriting, or like just a way to express yourself in that spirituality as well?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Music's spiritual as it is in my eyes, so yeah, I think the more spirits, the better.
Yeah, they're very closely linked. I think like all forms of spirituality inherently involve music, but the form of spirituality that I'm picking up from you is this. It's not a adherence to any kind of religion. It's more like a feeling of connectedness or universe. And it's interesting that maybe this isn't. I do this a lot, I think, where it's like, I just noticed it particularly amongst our generation, where it's not very what's the word, dogmatic. Like if you were a book God-fearing whatever, it's more a general feeling of connectedness. So you don't have to have strong held beliefs that relate to that. You don't read a book about it.
It's more of like an anything's possible sort of thing.
Like an energy source as well, in a sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, everything's energy, isn't it? So it's like, I don't know, if you can tap into that acceptance or that understanding, I think anyone can be spiritual. Yeah. Music, and it's definitely like a very close bond between being spiritual and playing music, because it's already like a language in itself. It's like a healing mechanism.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they're very close in partnership.
And do you have that kind of, and you don't have to answer this, but with the people that you lost, you mentioned grief, spirituality, and music, are they all kind of linked in that sense? And does it inform what you do now? Because it's almost like inspirational by the sounds of what you're saying.
I love that you asked that question, because I a lot of the time I actually do say that to myself. Like I feel like I'm that end of that gene that is now in the position to kill what they wanted to do and what they always wanted to do. So I'm like, yeah, that's how I feel about that. I love that you asked that question, because I've always wanted to explain that to someone.
It might explain some of the pressure you put on yourself too then.
Yeah, exactly. It's all linked.
Yeah. Well, it's so much informing what you're doing. You've got that universal opportunity thing that's occurring. What else, or what does the next 6 months look like for Kalani Artis?
Well, so I've got obviously we're going to record this song for this campaign. I'm in the middle of, I've got a couple of strong leads that they liked, and I've just been working with Dom on a lot of ideas, networking and working with his team and stuff. So we'll release a song at the end of the year, which will be in regards to that campaign, and after that, see how things are going. This is the vision. See how things are going, and then hopefully release another song as like a here's his face on the campaign sort of thing, and then here's his music. Like it's sort of like a rebranding sort of thing. In a way, I feel like it's going to sound it's going to have a lot of that acoustic guitar driven sort of sound, and yeah, so it's going to be exciting. But I've got a couple of shows at the end of the year. Like I think I'm playing at Mumbo's. I'm going to try and get the band together for that. correct me if I'm wrong. Well, don't, because you wouldn't know. But
You can have a stab.
September 18th, I think.
Nah, it
will
doesn't
be-
sound right.
But me and the band are gonna start rehearsals for that one. Sort of get the hype around the single at the end of the year, and then once that's released, I want to do like a home show where I might even just throw a few tickets out there and have it on my property, like in my backyard, and just set up a stage and that, and have a big party with all my close friends and like whoever wants to come. And then that's sort of as far as I've thought so far, but there's a lot of stuff up in the air, but we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, a lot
I'm
happening.
sneaking
And,
myself.
yeah, you know, you definitely.
Yeah.
And we do hold you to your promises.
Yeah,
Like,
there you
we're,
go.
we're renowned for keeping receipts.
Well, yeah,
and,
it's out there now. It's up in the cloud.
so tell us about the process of writing this song for Matt. Obviously, Universal involved as well, and
Yeah.
so do they give you? Because we've spoken to Fletcher Pillen about this because he's involved with Mad as
Yeah.
well, and he's written a couple of tracks, I think, for Mad and for Mad Day.
Yeah.
And I think from memory, he said that they give him sort of like a theme or an outline, or there's like a message behind what they want to do that year. And his instruction is just to write a song about that. So is a similar process for you?
Yeah, it's
You don't have to, I don't know if you are allowed to reveal what the theme is, but they give you a theme and then you're sort of sending in bits and pieces and getting feedback and making tweaks. Is that how it's working?
That's how it is, yeah. I won't say too much yet about the whole how it's going to play out, but it's sort of like there was a couple of opportunities with like bigger bands and that were going to come in and help write this one for this year. So I'm pretty like confident with this year that it's going to be a one to remember for sure. But yeah, the process is sort of like me and Dom in a studio. I went away to Cairns with him the other week, and we actually wrote this one song in about 10 minutes. I've got the voice memo on my phone, and we're just like talking over each other, like just in the zone. But yeah, no, the process is sort of like writing a concept that he gives me, or like that they've worked towards and worked out how it's going to play out, and I'll build off that. And then sometimes other artists will come in and help out. But Dom's a really good writer himself. Like Dom's actually a really good songwriter. So props to him for that. But yeah, that's sort of how it goes down.
And then so you got the shows coming up on the coast, kind of a couple of months' time, building towards the end of the year, single release towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
And then boom, new year, you switch over and start releasing your own stuff, kind of. Well, that is your own stuff, but if you know what I mean, that's the transition point into, now I'm here. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the goal. I mean, whatever happens after that, we'll just have to see. That's sort of as far as I've thought ahead at the moment. But I'm just glad to be in the position that I'm in at the moment, and I'm just living it up, soaking it up, sort of thing. Trying to write the best songs that I possibly can write, running them by Dom, and it's a lot of fun, heaps of fun.
You'll have a hell of a catalogue by the time the end of the year rolls around, by the sound of it.
Well, I think we pitched 3 songs to them when we went into the office, and then I was on the phone to him today, and he sort of had a few different ideas, and we were like just brainstorming the next song. It was like, I reckon it might get down to the last day before the song's released, and he might go, let's change it. But no, I love it. He's so enthusiastic, and yeah, it's good. He's all about it, and I love being all about it with him.
And speaking of your music and your catalogue, Body Armour, a song that we touched on before, that song's about your tattoos.
Yeah.
And
so,
looking at you can see you've got a sleeve, you've got some on your fingers, your hands, it looks like a bit on your chest as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah, tell us a bit about that song and a bit about your tattoos if you want to
for
get
sure.
into that.
So the idea behind the song was sort of like, I felt like there was a lot of judgment maybe growing up on like, I don't know, there was a lot of different opinions on like who should get this, or like why they're getting that, or just putting people in like a category of, it was just a big judgmental thing. But and obviously there's the whole, you put it on your body, it never goes away, it's there forever. So that's another thing. But writing the song, I was sort of just like, Well, like, they're all memories. I know you value your body and stuff, but they're all memories at the end of the day. So, like, someone comes up to me and goes, they're crap, which they are, but, like, who cares? Because they're my memories, you know what I mean? Like, so that's where I'm sort of like, where I say I'm just going to keep on getting bad ink sort of thing. That's sort of what I'm talking about. It's like, yeah. Just going to keep doing it because why not?
And it's memories that you look down now and might feel some kind of way, but you remember a moment where that was a good idea for you and you like that feeling.
Yeah, and I think it's a thing, like it sort of became a bit of a game with myself that like it was back to the overthinking thing. I was like, just to overthink the hell out of everything. So that was like a big thing at one point for me, overthinking my tattoos. And it sort of became like a bit of a game to me, to the point where like I'd go in for a big piece or something and I'd be like, I'll just throw a couple of them on there to see if my brain can overcome that in the next couple of weeks. But it's all moulding me, I guess. But,
it's like a rogue form of like ink chicken that you're playing with yourself there.
Fully, yeah.
And your band, I wanted to ask about your band as well. So you said you want to get the band back together to record for those Mumbo shows. Is that a band that you played with previously when you were performing in your teens?
Nah, so it's just a new thing. Like, we actually haven't even, like, we've had talks and stuff and thrown ideas around, but we haven't really gotten all together properly yet to put anything together. It's sort of like I've just been scouting for a bit in hopes that there's going to be bigger shows in the future, like soon to come, which there is, fingers crossed. But yeah, so they're just a couple of guys, like friends through friends. Everyone else that I tried to reach out to was like, and don't take this the wrong way, boys, if you're listening, you are absolutely amazing. I picked just for that reason. And I wouldn't have picked anyone else anyway because they're like closer to my friend group and that sort of thing. But the people that I originally reached out to from my old band, which is why I reached out to him, just because we would have already been in sync and stuff. But
you already knew the vibe and the way you gelled and how it would work. Yep.
Yeah. But these guys are legends. But yeah, I think Wednesday we might tee up for a jam and just go over the set. I think we're only playing at Mumbo's. We're only playing an hour set, which is good, ideal. It's a good chunk of time to sort of get that set tight and stuff. But yeah, no, it'll be the first time with these guys, so it's exciting.
That's cool. So 18th of September, we think. We've got to look forward to.
I'm just going to look at my phone now 15th, so I can plug it now.
We'll be diligent on Homebrewed and do a bit of promotion as
okay.
September draws closer.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe in the show notes of this episode, if it's available or we can have it confirmed, maybe have a look in the show notes. It might be there.
Okay, here we go. It is 18th of September. I was correct.
Beautiful.
Oh,
18th of September.
Yeah, back myself some cred.
And so in terms of writing as well, because you're doing the producing, everything's in-house in terms of writing music as well. Are you playing multiple instruments when you write and record?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like I play, obviously I'll track the bass and the guitars and a lot of that. A lot of it started with like just heaps of plugins. So like a lot of MIDI and that sort of stuff. I don't have the room for a drum kit, so no drum kits. But yeah, it was all me. Like I'd get mates in sometimes to have a play around and stuff. But yeah, it's mainly me.
And do you see yourself recording, like moving forward with what you're writing now and wanting to produce?
Yeah. Is
it going to be totally in-house, or can you see that band that you're forming potentially starting to write together?
Yeah, well, that 100%, like, that's another thing. Like, I think it might have been an ego thing when I was younger that I was like, I've got to do everything myself. Like, I recorded a whole EP and never even released it because it was trash because I was playing everything as a child. But yeah, 100% I can see us writing together. I think, like, you don't realise how much you actually progress in writing and stuff. Like, you're only holding yourself back if you're limiting yourself to one person. So, but yeah, I'd like to think that we'll write some songs and stuff. In terms of recording, I think my studio, like, it looks big in the wide angle videos that I've put online, but it's probably like half the size of this. And then there's like a little booth in the corner. So to put that into perspective, it's probably like what, I don't know, 3 by 3 meters or something. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, all we can do is wishful thinking, I think.
Manifest.
Yeah, manifest and think it into existence.
Absolutely. Well, it's worked pretty well so far by the sounds of it. And we are very much looking forward to seeing what comes next.
Yeah.
It's been really nice to get an introduction to you, Kalani.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I appreciate you guys having me here.
Yeah.
Stoked.
We were back and forth on Instagram for a while here, and then Body Armour came out, and back in the radio days, we played that on one of our last shows.
Yeah.
And really liked that. So it's
And
good to
that's
finally get the conversation in.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's funny. You mentioned that because I was just saying to Mum and that before I left. I was like, you remember? It's the guys that played my song on the radio not long ago, and we were like looking it up for ages, and we're on the wrong station. I was like, oh my god, dude, we're up to like 11 o'clock, and then my silly.
Oh, that's right, because you messaged us and you're like, is there a recording available?
Yeah.
That's right.
That's just sort of as like I started.
So you were trying to tune in. You were just tuned in to the wrong station.
Oh,
It wasn't.
To be fair, there's a few Coast FMs around.
Yeah,
in the
it was
country,
like
so.
I think it was. Yeah, I don't even know. I can't remember.
I don't know if it's improved, but it didn't used to have the most user-friendly streaming website thing for it. But and we weren't able to really record the whole, or we weren't able to upload the whole show because of copyright normally.
It was sort of as like I was just starting to, like, things was, it was probably the first thing that sort of got me excited to start that motion back up again, like after I released those songs. But yeah, funny story.
It's good. It's good. Well, the wheels are in motion now.
Yeah.
They're away. 18th of September is that gig at Mumbo Jumbo's.
Yep.
It'll be in the show notes.
Yeah, perfect.
So look there.
Amen.
And we'll be talking about it in the lead up on our socials as well. Kalani, thanks so much for coming and
Thanks,
chatting.
man. Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Legends.
This episode of Homebrewed was recorded at Sonora Studios in Tuggerah on Darkingjung Country, with our thanks to Jack Negro. Whilst he's an expert master and producer, he doesn't do anything on this podcast. This episode was all done by my good friend Eamonn Snow. For anything you might want to see more of from us, head to www.homebrewed.au. And until the next time, enjoy music.